Hey. Welcome to another episode of This Shit's Hard podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Biscuiti.
And I'm Jen, aka Rumblebum. Thank you for joining us.
Now actually reporting live with our mini microphones. Welcome to This Shit's Hard podcast with
Rumblebum.
I.S. Nicole, and we have Make Wods Great Again, John Wooley.
The one and only.
The meme guy, as most people here call me.
The meme guy.
Meme guy.
Meme guy.
Meme.
I'm sure someone calls me the meme guy, but I don't know who that is.
Oh, I know who that is. But for right now, I'm just going to hold this mini microphone like it's one of those tiny little Cuban french fries that they put on the Cuban sandwiches.
It's cute. I like it.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it. It's a good feel for us.
Yeah.
So, we are skipping the bio part.
Oh, sweet.
For the most part.
We feel like most people know who you are.
Most people in the CrossFit space
In the CrossFit space
know who Make Wods Great Again is. So maybe we're going to just get right into some of the things that they might not know.
All right, let's do it. Deep dive.
Let's deep dive.
In
my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion.
In my opinion, you're doing a really great job dealing with me and Rumble because we came in here like a thunderstorm.
Yes.
And I think, in my opinion, that might be because you are a girl dad.
Yes, I have two daughters, and I've seen it all at this point in my life. There's no doubt about that. No doubt.
How old are they?
21 and 19, unless you check their IDs. So.
Oh.
Then they're 21 and 21.
Okay. Love that you know that.
Yeah, well, you got a good relationship with your kids and know what they're doing, and the one's off at college having a good time, and we were down. She goes to the University of Cincinnati, so she's a Bearcat, and we were down there visiting, and she's telling stories of going to bars and hanging out, and all the things they're drinking. And I'm like, how old does your ID say you are? And she's like, 21. I'm like, where are you from? And she's like, Pennsylvania. She's like, why are you asking? I'm like, if I got to support your lie, I need to know.
That's amazing. So. You are an amazing father, and I'm sure they appreciate you for that.
She's a good kid. She's keeping it under control, and she makes good choices, and she has good rules about alcohol. She doesn't take open drinks from boys, and she's very smart. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
To learn that lesson from your dad.
So that's a big lesson to learn when you send somebody off to college. It's there are drinking rules. I taught her, don't take open drinks from boys. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, travel in packs. Always travel in packs. Make sure at least one person in that pack really has your back. Meaning, like if something happened, they would call me or call the cops or get you out of there. And then the third rule, if you're drinking, every other drink needs to be water because she weighs about 100 pounds, and it wouldn't take much of anything to knock her out. So.
I mean, that's really amazing that you have that relationship, that you're open enough to talk about it with your daughter, because some people just want to ignore that part of reality that is college and or drinking.
Doing it. There's no way.
Right.
They're going to drink. They're going to have fun.
Yeah.
It's a social time, and it's an important time in their life. Like if you're going to have the college experience, you should have the college experience. If she wants to drink, I could tell her don't do it, and then she'll just go do it anyway and never tell me. And I'd rather hear the stories and, talk her through what happened and why you shouldn't have done that and that sort of
why
thing.
that wasn't the right choice.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you, honey, why you were hugging the toilet all night.
Right.
You mixed alcohols and you did it too quick,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So.
Love that.
Did you teach her the beer before liquor? Never been sicker?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked through some of the things. It's typical college. Like, she was telling me about this vodka drink they're making, and they're using some god-awful, $7 vodka. And I'm like, you get a bottle of Tito's for $17. Like, for an extra $10, you can go upskill. Like, come on, let's...
Honey, let's move it on up.
Yeah, like, this is partly why you're getting sick. So.
Yeah. True.
I will tell you that one of the things that my brother, who's kind of like my dad, you met my brother yet, Scott?
I don't think so.
He's a Marine. He's great. He taught me when I was traveling alone, because sometimes you can't avoid it. You can't always travel in packs.
Right.
And, because we're on the socials, I do not post my, like, I don't tag the geo-targeted or geotag. Geo-targeted ads, that's where my brain's at. I don't do a geotag unless I am safely 24 hours out of that city.
Smart.
So that's another one to add to your arsenal.
My oldest daughter was traveling over Christmas and she got caught up in all that storm mess. And she was flying back from, they were flying out of Vegas, even though she wasn't really in Vegas, and got stuck in Atlanta. And she called me, this was her first time traveling on her own, you know. And so she's really nervous, and you know, she's calling me, and she goes, I'm like, just go to the airline, they'll give you a voucher for a hotel. You've got Uber on your phone, Uber to the hotel, you'll be fine. So she does that, and she gets to the hotel, and some guy starts talking to her and asks her for her number, and she's like, he was creeping me out. She's like, I didn't know what to do, but I gave him my number.
No,
wait, and then she goes, and then she got mad, and she goes, but he never texted me. She was like, she didn't want to talk to him, but then she was offended.
But then she was offended. But I didn't want him to text me, but I gave him my number, and then he didn't. I'm highly offended.
If that doesn't tell you some of the psychology
of women.
Of
women. That is a true psychology of women,
this generation of women are, they're going to change the world for one, but.
Yes.
But,
love that.
But secondly, they just have a much different perspective on how the world is, you know, probably thanks to social media to some degree. You know, they're far more aware of their surroundings, and Mira was explaining, her name's Mira, my oldest, she was going downtown for something in Cleveland, and we have the RTA, which is a train that takes you right downtown, and she just offhandedly said, I didn't wear my hair in a ponytail that day, and I'm like, why? And she's like, because men can grab your ponytail and control you, like, and get you into a car, or you know, makes you easier to be manipulated, you know. And it never, you know, of course that didn't occur to me being bald, but it definitely didn't, as a male, it never occurred to me that you have to think that way, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, it's a really different generation coming up right now.
Yeah, love that.
There are a lot of things that we as women think about that, you know, just it makes our daily thoughts and thought patterns are different.
It's a scary world. It really is.
Yeah.
It is a scary world, but I also think it's kind of beautiful too.
Yeah.
I think it's how you navigate it, and
it's both.
Yeah, it is
definitely both.
Yeah. So switching gears just a little bit here, we are reporting live from the Miami jungle, and we just came off of Wadapalooza Fitness Festival. So, John, why don't you tell us about your experience here and what you were most excited about?
Oh, it was fun. I love these festivals. I'm kind of weird about CrossFit festivals. I don't care about the competition at all. Like, I had...
we are the same.
Yeah. I actually...
Also same.
I didn't watch a single event. Now, I competed in an event, but which is partly why I came down.
That's what we want to know about.
Okay. But my most excited was to meet the community. Like, I just love talking to people and networking and shaking hands. And you know, I have so many people stop me and talk to me about the work I do, whether it's the podcast or the page or charity work or whatever, and it gives me an opportunity to really understand what they like and don't like and use it for future content and, you know, future things. And then, you know, I also connect with other people that are kind of putting my eyes on target, you know, whether it's, again, kind of like, I like to do charity work, so like I see some of that stuff going on or whatever, and so that's what I get excited about. The competition was brutal. I mean, I trained for it for a long time. I had I told myself back in August I kind of have a 3-part goal. I wanted to get through the holidays without gaining 1,000 pounds and you know, boozing myself to death. And I wanted to do something difficult, which that's difficult enough, but I, you know, want to challenge myself to something.
Because that shit is hard.
Yeah, that shit is hard, and so the you know, the hard thing I decided to do was come to Wadapalooza and compete in the gauntlet, which, you know, I'm 52. Most of the people that are doing that competition are 20s and 30s. You know, some in the 40s, but you know, arguably I'd be one of the oldest out on the floor doing it. And so I wanted to do well, so I reached out to some friends that own a nutrition company and brought them on as nutritionists, and started a new
You
training
were
regimen.
serious about this.
Yeah, and
But also you look great, by the way.
Thanks.
You do look really
Also,
good.
can we just appreciate his biceps?
Yes, we see through the shirt.
biceps, we see
Yep.
because I'm flexing them.
Yep.
And so I trained for this thing for 4 months. Really, because it's an hour-long workout, and it was good. It paid off. I had 3 top 10 finishes out of the 5
amazing.
events. And I missed making the finals by 7 points. And if it weren't for what honestly was just, I wouldn't call it a mental error, it was a strategy error on my part. That's what kept me out. Like the first event was a 3-rep max from the floor, front squat. And
Did you wear your chesty?
I did not.
Okay.
But the mental error was, I was in the scale division, and so in my mind I'm like, there won't be a lot of people lifting heavy in the scale division. They'll be there because they can't do certain things, and usually lifting's one of them. And I'm not super strong, but I'm moderately strong.
Yeah.
And so I picked one weight. I'm like, I'll open at 200 and make that my only lift, and be done. And that should be enough to get me a kind of top third points. And then I was planning to do well in other events that I had really trained for. And there were a dozen guys in my division that cleaned 275.
Oh, okay.
And and were far more skilled than a scale division.
That's
that I had
impressive.
for. So if I had opened at 215 or 225, which I could do both of those weights, I would have picked up the extra 10, 15 points and made finals. But truthfully, the finals were so hard, I was really grateful I didn't make it. So I had the ideal scenario, I finished 11th, so I beat everybody behind me that was younger than me, and then I didn't have to do anything on Saturday.
There you go.
So it was perfect. So I had mimosas instead of working out. So
That's a great situation.
Can confirm, he came by the lifting culture booth where we were posted up, and what were you drinking? It was clear, but it was not water.
Oh, that was probably tequila and soda at that point.
Nice.
Honestly, it was great. I'm making eye contact with Devin, our producer, who is not going to be making a cameo here today, but he just gave the nod of approval for your beverage choice.
That's good. It was a good one. The funny thing I was at, and this is what's the problem with getting recognized at these events, I was at the booth ordering a drink, and it was like 1 PM. And
he's getting judged hard.
Someone across the booth from me looks at me and she goes, "A little early to be drinking, isn't it?" I'm like, you're ordering a drink. Like, what are you doing?
Was she serious?
Yeah, she was ordering a drink.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
That's funny.
First of all, this is a fitter event.
Yeah, like, sir,
we know all the fitters be drinking at all hours of the day, especially down in Miami. So
right.
She was sweet though. I walked around and judged her back, and we talked.
Good, good.
So it was good.
Can we go back to what we were having a conversation on the side about the importance of networking and how that plays a huge role, because I think that people don't understand the value that comes from networking and the returns that you get, even though, like you're saying, you spend money, but how critical it is to make connections with people and important it is.
Yeah, I've done that from day one with the page. It's funny, when I was learning really early on how to grow the platform and get people to follow, is because you have to get people to, a lot of it is getting others to share your content. And in order to do that, my thought was, you want to put people in the most flattering light possible and make them look good, even if you're making fun of them, which is kind of what a meme account does, Right. Yeah, so I've always had this policy of do no harm. Like, whatever I'm posting, I try to think of the content as, if I were receiving this, how would I take it? And to make something funny, there's a real fine line.
That shit's hard.
That shit is tough.
You can easily step over it, and I have several times by accident. It's just
right.
Sure.
You just never know how people will receive things.
Right, because people have different levels of sarcasm, perception, what's funny, what's not funny, and then when it's you don't know. As the creator, you don't know how that person is going to receive that.
Man, most of the athletes have turned out to be pretty funny, for whatever that's worth. But as I would do this, if they would reach out or say anything, even if they would laugh, I would connect with them and talk to them. I also, from day one, have responded to as many DMs as possible. I mean, I get 50 to 100 a day would be a light day.
Wow.
And you're personally responding to all those?
To almost everyone in some capacity. Now,
Wow.
often it's just a double tap or just a like,
but still,
or whatever.
But it is a response.
But often I'll actually respond. If they give me something of substance, like ask a question or whatever, I'll actually respond. And then, you know, kind of networking at these events or just even via DM is, you know, I'll look at people's profiles, see what they do, and like try to make a personal connection. You just never know when there's going to be value there, or you can bring value to them.
Yeah.
You know, so it isn't about doing it so you can always take. Like
Yeah.
often it's because, you know, there's something that's important that you want to be a part of. Like, you know, like charity work's a good example where I'll meet people and you know, they'll point me towards something. So like Forging Youth Resilience is a good example that they're a charity that's in the CrossFit space. They help disadvantaged youth in kind of underdeveloped neighborhoods. They give them mentorship and help them get scholarships and tutoring and, you know, and fitness. You know, bring CrossFit to them. And a good friend of mine, his brother is on the board of directors, and so his brother put them on me, you know, and so I've been helping them ever since. And you know, so it's just an example of, you know, like you kind of network with someone and you know them, and they'll think of you and say, hey, here's something you may want to look at, you know. And so it's important, you know. And then when you're at events like this, you know, you've made so many friends, you know, they've been introducing you to other people, and it's just I don't know, I think it's really critically important in social media, since it's called social media, to actually be social and not use it as a platform to just take or to be, you know, I view it as ego, but
it is.
You know,
Well, it is.
have people look, hey, look at me, you know, like that's what social media normally is. It's
Yes.
look at what I'm doing, and you know, I try to approach it, you know, from a more like I'm trying to create joy, not have, you know, people think how great I am.
Yeah.
You know, I do a little bit of that too. I mean, you kind of have to. It's part of the gig. But
Well, you want people to like you. It's part of liking your page.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't try to make people like me, but I understand what you mean by that. Like my viewpoint is they either will or they won't. You know, I can't create that. What I try to do is just be authentic and be exactly who I am.
Yeah.
And what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of have a lot of rules for the page and rules for myself, and I try to stay within those lines. And you know, I'm human. I make mistakes like everybody else, but I think for the most part, if you give yourself some guideposts and you stay within them, it works out.
I think the value of authenticity is huge. You know, I don't have near as many followers as you have, but I do the same. I do respond to everybody's DM, whether it's a like or a comment, and the amount of people, I'm kind of shocked that say to me, thank you so much for replying to me, and I'm like, you're welcome. Like, why would I not reply? You know, and they say, you know, I've you know, say things on other people's pages and they don't even give me the time of day. Now, to that point too, I also understand if you have 1 million followers, right, that you can't respond to like every single, but same, like the value of just being who you are and then meeting someone in person and then they're like, oh, you are who you say you are, is I think 100% valuable to a business and to who you are as a human, because we meet so many people in the CrossFit space. Okay, not so many. Some people in the CrossFit space that are not who they say they are in person, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and then you're like, oh, okay, well.
Follower count's a weird thing. You know, I've changed my opinion on it half a dozen times over the course of running the page, and I think I've kind of got it pegged now for whatever that's worth.
Where do you stand today? Yeah.
Well, I think in the early days I thought, oh, everyone loves me, I'm going to be famous, and
I think everyone thinks that. That's natural.
So many followers, and now I've come to a better understanding that the vast majority of followers are just following for disposable content. They don't care about you at all, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's completely okay, because I do that too. I follow plenty of people that I don't really think about, you know, or accounts. For my page, because of what it is, it's kind of its own little community. So they're not there for me. Most of them are not there for me.
They're there for each other.
Yeah, and that's the point of the page, really.
Yeah.
And that's actually what makes it special. You know, they're sharing with each other and saying, hey, look at this. This is exactly what happened to you last week. Yes. Or what happened to me. And, you know, if you really go in and read the comments, they can be pretty funny sometimes.
Oh,
we are here for the comments.
Yeah, they're great.
We love the comment section.
We love that.
Yeah, they're great. So that, you know, that's interesting to me, how that works. But then you do have, I call them super fans, those that do hang on every word you say. Yeah. And, you know, those are the ones I take really seriously, because it's it's a real privilege to be able to bring joy to people
Yes.
and for them to like what you do. And like I leave these events, to be honest, completely and utterly socially drained. Like my social media is so empty right now because when someone comes up and talks to me and goes, "Oh, I love your page," I start asking them questions because I feel like I owe it to them. Like I want to learn for one, but I feel an obligation to get to, if they're going to spend time every day looking at what I'm doing and enjoying it and having that level of gratitude for it, I want to know about them and connect with them. And typically I'll follow them. Like almost everybody I follow are not athletes. They're just people I've met at events and talked to, and I've built friendships from that. And, it's funny, like I run into them, I get laughed at because I don't call people by name. I'm like, "Hey, bearded panda, what's going on?" Or whatever.
Shout out to Omar.
Yeah, Omar, yes.
Whatever their screen name is.
Their Instagram handle, yes.
That's what they get called, And
That's how I have to communicate with her about people. I'll say someone's real name.
And I'll go, I don't.
Blank stare.
Yeah.
So it's, I just spend a lot of time talking to people around, where they're from, what they do, and what brought them to CrossFit, or what's going on in their lives, and so it's, it's a real cool thing. And by doing that, it's like Omar's a great example. It put the adaptive community on my radar, and I spent a ton of time, lifting them up and giving them coverage and trying.
Honestly, they're my favorite.
Yeah, they're great.
They're my favorite.
They're the hardest working group in show
Yeah,
business.
absolutely,
Nobody works harder than the adaptives, and no one has darker humor than the adaptives. Like that's partly why I love them. Like they have the worst jokes you've ever heard. Like keep asking me to do memes that I can't do. Like
you're like, I know. Immediately know.
I had this athlete who's missing an arm. He's like, "Hey, can you make one for me with me in it? This is every day is leg day." And I'm like, "Absolutely not." Like, no. Like I will get roasted. I'll get yelled at. I mean, you'll think it's funny. I'll think it's funny. Everyone else will hate me.
Right.
We're not doing it.
Then you'll have to spend time explaining yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the cease and desist.
Yeah, and then I'll get cease and desist. So.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Every day is leg day.
You were also saying earlier before we pressed record that you have shared with people the formula of having a successful page, and that no one listens. And I said, "What do you mean no one listens?" Well, I mean, if everyone listened to me, they would all have successful pages. So we're asking you to share, in your opinion, what makes a successful page.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard. I think you do have to create a lot of content, a lot of stuff, and part of that is to find what works for you. So I mean, I often get asked, "How do you find the time to do this?" Because I'll post 6 to 8 times a day. So it helps to have ADD like me. Like I get ADHD, so if you have that problem, you should start a meme page. Because it makes me hyper creative, at least in the mornings. But you need to post often. You need to be authentic. Those two things are like be yourself. You can't be someone else. That's really, really important. I don't know, like you need to engage with your followers. You need to be in the comments. You need to be in the DMs when they message you. You need to network. Get to know people for who they are. Yeah. And when it comes to memes, people like to be mean. They think memes are, I'm going to roast people, or it's going to be edgy. There is some truth to the fact that you have to piss off 10% of your audience in order to grow an audience. It counts for a podcast too, by the way.
Interesting.
Don't worry.
Noted.
Yeah.
Check that box.
Yeah.
Noted.
Let me explain why, but it's, this is going to make complete sense to you. So imagine you've got a circle of friends here, and I'm not going to make this political, but, it's always the Trump guy that blows people up. There's always one guy in the room, right? And so you got that one guy, and everybody loves him, but he has different political views than everyone else, right? He's also the guy, when he sees something he doesn't like, he's like, "Oh my God, that's the worst thing ever, unfollow." Yeah. And then he sends it to all you guys and goes, "Look at this asshole. I can't believe they'd say that, but all you guys are reasonable." And you look at it and go, "That's actually funny. I'm going to follow." Right? You got to piss off the one nitwit to get to all their friends.
I like that. I love that.
And it's true. And so I'm not afraid to post edgy things or to do things that I know some people will be offended by. But if you're going to do that, you also have to be prepared for backlash.
Yeah.
And then for me, like I've learned what types of humor works, and if I could put it into a sentence, I would say make it relatable. Like sex jokes are not relatable. Fart jokes are not relatable. They're funny, but they're not relatable. Like I mean, they might be in a gym setting if it's something everyone does. You know, you need to find things that if my viewpoint is, if it's happened to me as a very average masters athlete, it's happened to every single person in that room. And those are the things I joke about. So I've often called my page my autobiography, because every joke on there is something that has happened to me. The one I posted this morning, I've probably done it a million different ways, but it's the way the coach looks. You know, the way the coach looks at you when they tell you to go light, and you start adding more weight. I can't tell you how many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times coach is like, "Hey, we're doing tech work today. Don't add weight," and I'm over there trying to set a PR. You know, and they're looking at you like, "Come on, come on," you know. Like, it happens to all of us, you know.
Right, like you said, relatable.
Yeah,
I'll give you 100 scenarios. You've got every gym's got that one person that comes in late because of traffic, but they're holding a Starbucks cup.
Correct. The coffee.
You got that
shaking
one, the one person in class, and one coach is going, "All right, is everybody ready?" They're like, "Wait, I gotta go to the bathroom," and then run into the bathroom. You've got half a dozen mommies that can't do double unders because they're gonna pee their pants.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff is relatable, you know, and so if you're in an affiliate, you should be looking around for it and realize, like, hey, if this happened to me, it's happened to everybody else. It's happened to that person, it's happened to everybody else, and that's where the humor is, you know. And then, you know, you have to be hysterical like me. That helps too. So
obviously,
Obviously.
that's a natural
Hysterically
gift,
funny.
though.
That doesn't come natural to everybody.
it is like
No, it doesn't.
I will fully admit captions don't come natural to everyone. But I would also tell you I've done 13,000, maybe 15,000 posts, and so I've honed that over a long period of time. And I look back on my early stuff, even when the page was doing real well then, and thought, man, I was not on my game. And it's taken me a long time to like figure out which jokes to completely stay away from, and which ones to lean in on, and which ones people will like. And you know, and you also have to kind of have a thick skin about it and go, sometimes you're going to think something's hysterical and it's going to bomb.
Yep.
And then other times, like I had one, it was so dumb. This guy sent it to me. You know, people send me stuff, and he sends me one, he's deadlifting, he basically squats over the bar and picks it up with his butt cheeks, which sounds funny when you say it out loud, but the video wasn't very compelling. And there's two guys.
I'm trying to picture this in my head.
So the bar is this way?
Yeah,
and he squats,
straddling it, and he squats, and it looks like he's picking up between his butt cheeks, but the reality is off camera, there's people on the ends of the bar.
Okay.
Right? And I didn't think it was very funny, but I was bored. And so I posted it, and I think I made the caption, "I'm jealous of this guy's hook grip." I think that's what it was. So the caption was decent, which is why I posted, because I thought I was funny, but I didn't like the video.
Yeah.
It got 13 million views.
Oh.
Or something. And I want to say, I forget what the like count was, but it was well over the 250,000. Like, it was a ridiculous
Wow,
number.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that kind of, does that make you angry or just perplexed? Because she posted a video of her terrible latte art.
Excuse me, terrible?
You called it terrible.
Yeah.
Well, there's no
This
rhyme or
one's not a barista. Love you, but
Excuse me, I used to work at Starbucks.
There's no
she
rhyme
got
or
so
reason
many
why
likes
things
on
work.
it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Like, I had half a dozen things this weekend I thought were really funny, and people would literally stop me out on the venue and go, "Oh my God, that was so funny." But they're not really doing that well comparatively.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh,
Okay, Siri.
Yeah. And I don't even have my phone on me. How'd that happen? That was weird. Oh, it's been my watch.
Yes.
Sorry.
They're always listening.
Yeah.
They are. You know, people would tell me these jokes were funny, but they weren't doing that well. But then a guy sent me a video this weekend. He's doing wall balls, but with a loaded barbell and throwing it up against the wall. And it's at 1.4 million views after 48 hours. You know, it's like,
I mean,
so sometimes they just,
Wild.
yeah, sometimes they just take off. And
Bitters out.
I don't know why they take off. That's the mystery of it. That's why you have to post often. You know,
Makes sense.
And you know, it's really kind of the overarching engagement and keeping yourself in the explore tab and keeping people engaged and sharing that grows the page.
Yeah.
You know.
How many hours a day would you say you're on Instagram specifically?
Well, on Instagram and posting are two wildly different things.
Right. So let's break both of those down.
Yeah, I mean, I probably spend less than an hour. Like, I've already created all my stuff for today.
Wow.
I did it in my hotel room when I got up. I went and got a latte. It took me about 30 minutes. I knocked out 6 or 7 posts, and I was done. And I work really quick, obviously.
Damn.
It's not always.
Obviously, he's gifted.
It's not always that quick, but some days it is.
Yeah.
You know, some days it'll take a full hour, or more, but it's usually that. But I'm on it kind of off and on all day long.
Sure.
Like every hour I'm on multiple times. Again, answering DMs, connecting with people. That stuff doesn't take that much time, and I can do it in between things. I multitask really well, and you know, if there's a gift with ADHD is I can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, I can stay connected to it. But I'm on, you know, probably far more than most people would want to. But you know, I'm building more than just the meme page. You know, I have the 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
I now own an affiliate. The meme page is, you know, obviously, you know, kind of driving all of this. And then I do a lot of charity work, and all of this flows through that. It's all interconnected and interweaved. And so the meme page spotlights all of that stuff, and so people are getting a wide range of content, so it requires me to do it. And at this point, because I'm earning money on it, you know, it is a job, so I don't feel as bad as I used to about this many hours into it. But it is a job. It's a job. And if you go, like from the day one, I went into it viewing it as a job, and I had a plan, like an outline of what do I want this to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, and I've stuck with it, and you know, thankfully that plan has worked.
Can we talk a little bit about yesterday? We were discussing when I was like, Steph, we'll talk about it on the podcast. You mentioned that you have ADHD, so we were going to go there about mental health and mental health issues, such a big issue that a lot of people are talking about. Thank God they're talking about. So I was asking you if you took meds, and you were willing to share about that, you know, ADHD and any other mental health issues you have going on, and how you manage that and how it impacts your creativity.
Is tequila a med? I take that.
Absolutely.
In my opinion,
In my opinion, it is.
Yeah, no, it is. I don't want to. I personally don't want to take meds. I do feel like they stifle my creativity, but I think others should take meds if it suits their needs or is best for them. You know, I was undiagnosed until I was in my 40s. So, you know, and looking back on it, I'm like, oh man, it's all crystal clear now. You know, like
makes sense.
That totally makes sense. You know, so I don't feel like at this age I have a need for it. I've learned how to self-manage it. I have a daughter. One of my daughters has ADHD. She's on meds. It helps her dramatically. Huge difference when she's on them when she isn't. You know, but she's also kind of hyper creative like me. You know, and I think she doesn't love the meds at times because she likes being hyper creative. You know, so there's a balance there, I think. You know, I think people should just talk about it and decide what's best for them and whether they want to or don't want to, you know, but I don't think there's any shame in it. I self-manage it through the page. Like many people, struggle with anxiety and depression from time to time. Yeah, I think that kind of comes with ADHD, although if there are doctors watching, they'll say I'm full of it, but I think often people have more than one thing, I guess is my point.
Yes,
you know?
that is me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think if you're going to spend this much time on social media, you have to really closely monitor how connected you stay to it and look for the signs of, you know, if something's going to put you in a depressive state and get yourself out of that, you know. And so I have a close network of friends. For me, CrossFit helps me with all of it. Like, you know, the true med that everyone should be taking is exercise and good nutrition. Like those two things for me keep anxiety and depression away. You know, in my normal life when I'm not in Miami, there's not a lot of alcohol involved, and there is a lot of exercise involved, and I'm getting a lot of sunlight. Vitamin D helps, and I take supplements, and I focus on those things because they generate good mental health. You know, and I try to keep myself out of bad situations. You can't always, and that's the downside to social media, is that there are a lot of haters and a lot of trolls, and it's taken me a while to build up enough of a thick skin and an understanding of who those people are that, you know, if they're looking at you, you know, it means you're probably doing something right, and they're just either jealous or they're just a nasty person. And
or unhappy with themselves.
And you can't control that, and engaging with those people doesn't help them or you. And so I've just, like, at this point, you know, I in most cases, I don't even respond unless it requires a response. You know, like sometimes it does, like, and that is usually when someone is coming after my co-host Niki or, you know, something like that. Like I'm kind of a fierce friend and I'll defend people pretty quickly. So that's usually when I start responding. And, you know, I think the trolls learn that too and try to take advantage of that. But I'm also pretty good about, you know, keep it civil. And, you know, if you keep things civil on your end, they actually start looking dumber and dumber. And that's just the easiest way to go.
Sure. John, do you, when you're creating content and it's around like a specific athlete, do you find that based on your level of friendliness or closeness with that person, you kind of like push the boundaries a little bit? Or do you just kind of stay consistent within this like line across the board?
Well, lately I've been doing less and less athlete content, to be honest. Not that I have anything against athletes, it's just like, you know, I'm in an affiliate 5 days a week, and that's where I find the humor, and the growth is there. You know, I mean, really, the relatable stuff is what you guys do. No one relates to watching somebody clean and jerk 400 pounds like you did over the weekend. No one relates to that. Now, I could make that funny and take it the opposite direction, but, you know, I don't do it very often. I also am more and more cognizant of making sure that whatever I post puts them in the absolute best light. So I usually don't take them the edgiest way, unless, of course, it's someone who's a close friend. Like if we were Danny Spiegel, yep, she's probably getting the foot fetish joke. But Danny is a true close friend. Like we're texting photos of our cats on Friday night. Like, you know, we're good friends. So in her case, yeah, I probably would. If it were Alex Smith, I'd probably do the same. Like I've known him for years, and maybe the pan checks. But outside of that, I'm pretty cautious.
Smart. So we wanted to shift directions just a little bit and talk about, you know, some basics. What is a normal day for you, and are they all different in your week?
I'm pretty consistent when I'm home. I mean, normal day for me, I get up 6 or 7, make my pot of coffee, me and my cat Bean sit on the couch like old people. You know, his actually Childish Gambino was his name, but we call him Bean.
Great
love
name.
that.
Yeah, we love Childish Gambino.
And home is?
Cleveland, Ohio. And so we'll sit on the couch, create content, look for content, just kind of get my mind ready for the day. You know, my 9-to-5 job, I work for a bank, so I'm at work by 8 o'clock. You know, sometimes earlier, answering emails, whatever, going to branches, helping colleagues. And so during the day, I'm doing that. I own an affiliate, so I'm working out there 5 days a week. And so I'm usually working out in the evenings. And I have a home gym too, so I have a really good home gym. Say that not even humbly, it's an amazing home gym.
That's nice.
Yeah, so,
we'll be right over.
Yeah, it's spectacular.
Start charging memberships.
Yes.
It's spectacular for sure. And so I train, you know, Saturday and Sunday at my affiliate, and then I try to find 3 other days. So 2 days of the week I'm at home, and so I might train there some, you know. But there's almost always some sort of training going on. Like I don't take a lot of rest days, so I have that. And yeah, I don't know. And outside of that, you know, I try to spend time with my kids where I can. I have a ridiculous guitar collection. I play guitar a lot.
Oh, okay, nice.
And yeah, and then meme all day long. So
anything else that the people would not suspect about you?
Oh, I'm very boring. That's the thing. Like everyone asks me, how do you find so much time to do this? I'm like, I don't have a life. Like, you know,
I do nothing else.
This is why I recommend divorce to all my friends. Like, if you want to be able to do whatever you want with your time, yeah, you want to do whatever you want to do with your time. Spend your money however you want. Be single. It's real easy.
Leads me to my next question. Do you date at all ever?
Sometimes.
Okay.
You know, it's like anyone else. Like the dating world is hard. You know, I don't do any of the apps.
Those single streets are rough.
Yeah, I don't do any of the apps. It's not worth it. Like, I'd rather just meet someone the old-fashioned way through my meme account.
Slide in his DMs.
I mean,
he responds to them.
You heard that here first. His DMs are open.
That's an inside joke with my friends. That was why I told that.
Now it's outside joke.
Now it's outside.
No, look, I view you know, meeting people now. There's no such thing as a traditional way. Like the days of, well, you got to go to the grocery store and talk to people in the milk aisle. Like
that makes no sense.
That's how in-store bankers get checking accounts. I'm not doing that.
Right.
It's dumb.
I never understood that anyways. I'm like, I don't think
what am I
that's
supposed to do? Like
works.
approach you,
Right.
grabbing lettuce and the poultry? Like, no.
Yeah.
So many
I've
bad
heard
things
one
can happen.
single story in my life about someone meeting their person in the ice cream aisle of
Yeah.
Publix.
Oh wow, I've never heard of it.
So for
Never.
6 months, I'm like, I don't even like ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm out here.
In the ice cream
I'm in the ice
aisle.
cream aisle. However, we all know Rogue Invitational is where I met my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Like, I don't know. I just figure you meet people where you meet them, and
Yeah.
Sure.
you have a good connection. That's great.
Connection,
That's like attracts like. Like if you find someone that is like you should spend time with them and see if you like them.
Seems reasonable and practical.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't really talk to anyone about my private life but I don't date much. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a super outgoing person that way. Like, I'm not one, like, I see influencers that anytime they're dating someone, like that entire relationship is online.
Right.
I don't do that at all.
Right.
I would never do that because for me, it's like such a private thing.
Yeah.
Not to mention, wouldn't want to expose them to the craziness that comes with being social media. It's like,
It's crazy.
I joked with someone the other day. It's like I was watching, Spider-Man Far From Home, and the reason it doesn't give his identity is because he could hurt all his loved ones. And it's the same thing. It's like you don't want them to start becoming a target from all the people that don't like you, and there are plenty of those.
Plenty.
And
That want to see you fail.
yeah, so it's one of those things. Like, I don't advertise it online. I don't talk about it much. I even talk to my parents about it for whatever that's worth. Like, you just kind of get in that zone. And
Sure.
I think there is something about being a single divorced person. You do get into a zone of solitude and being alone, and you get really comfortable being alone. And I've been really comfortable being alone for a long time. I've been single for 16 years.
Wow.
And you get really comfortable with
Yeah.
it, and there's some joy in it. Like, again, I have 12 guitars, that I didn't have to ask permission. My daughters just roll their eyes. I walk in the door with a new one.
New one.
Again, Dad.
Yeah. Sure thing.
But if you like listening to live guitar music and you like John, again, his DMs are open.
Look at us pimping you out.
But, there are moments, though,
Sure.
where it's sad,
Yeah.
where all of a sudden you look up. Like, there were moments on this trip, where I'm in the hotel room and I'm by myself,
Yeah.
and it would have been really nice to have some with me,
Yeah.
like, that just happens.
Yeah.
You just, I don't know, you deal with it.
I'm sure. Since we like to talk about hard things on this podcast, what is one of, you could use one, you could use a couple, what are a couple of the things that were really hard for you while on this path with your account and with building this business?
Well, again, dealing with the haters has always been hard because I tend to take things personally. Like anyone else, I want to be liked. I want people to like me.
Sure. That's just natural.
Yeah, and so dealing with that was difficult. I've had moments where I've hurt people's feelings, and I'm the type of person where I never want to do that, and so then I feel really guilty, and so that's, that was difficult. Outside of that, it's probably just been the amount of time I've had to spend building relationships and dealing with it, and the things that are out of your control, trying to navigate around them, like the whole blow up at CrossFit with Glassman and all that craziness that came down. Put a lot.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Well, but it put a lot of people in jeopardy. A lot of
Yeah, it
businesses.
did.
It put a lot of my relationships at jeopardy,
Yeah.
and I don't say that like it was like, oh, woe is me. It's just like there's a lot of unknown, a lot of
Yeah.
anxiety that came from it.
Sure.
And having to navigate some of that. And at this point, like, I've kind of figured it out. Like, the world is bigger than one guy. So it's bigger than CrossFit, really.
Yeah.
And you build enough friends and enough connections, you can continue to build and do your thing. But it was difficult. Particularly that moment, I think, was hard for all of us.
It was. I think it was a hard time for all of us. Businesses, small businesses, large, didn't know. It was kind of felt like a line was being drawn in the sand of where you stood and what you stood on. And if you didn't speak about it, then you were outed anyway.
It's still difficult to some degree because the community. One thing I've learned over time is that the community at large does not look at the details; they just look at the headlines.
Yes.
And that's okay. Most people are that way. And so they they don't really understand what happened. They just think Greg sent out a tweet and he got canceled. And so you have a kind of a vocal minority right now that's the narrative they're selling, which it isn't what happened. And the average CrossFitters that weren't deep in the community are going, well, the rest of you guys are jerks. Why would you cancel Greg? We want Greg back, without really any understanding. And those of us that are decent humans who actually like Greg, I like Greg, he was great to me. We don't want to see him hurt too by having to bring up the stuff and fight the battle, And so it's still kind of a weird thing to navigate over time. And I'm like at the point, I just want everyone to do well. Hope Greg's new, Broken Science Initiative does great. He's a brilliant man, and I think he's well-intentioned in helping people and want to solve chronic disease, and I hope he achieves that.
Yeah.
But I want CrossFit to thrive.
Yeah.
And I want the affiliates in particular to thrive and do well, and I don't want to continue to fight that battle. So it's hard to not push back at the haters that are still shouting about it. But it is what it is. You just kind of deal with it. So I try to be the grown-up in the room. I don't always accomplish that. I mean, I'm 52 doing memes. I'm clearly not the grown-up in the room.
No, I think you are. You have a brilliant mind. Like, I can tell that. We can tell that by sitting here talking to you. Whether your ADHD plays into that or not. You're clearly a brilliant mind
my
person.
dad would call me an idiot savant, maybe. That's
Can you, while we're here, do you want to tell us a little bit about the charities that you work with?
Oh, I have so many. I could spend an hour, but lately there's 2 or 3. Forging Youth Resilience is one that we worked with them this weekend. We raised over $500 at a party we threw.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we drank a lot, so that was fun too.
There you go. Kill 2 birds.
Yeah, so they help disadvantaged youth. There's a second charity very similar to them, Project Onyx. That's Easy Muhammad's a big part of that.
Okay.
That one's in Iowa. They do the same thing, very similar thing. Give mentorship to young people, get them into gyms, that sort of thing. Battle Cancer is one I spend a lot of time with. I love Scott and his group, and cancer's affected everyone. My dad just had a cancer scare and is cancer-free now, thankfully, but it affects so many lives. Barbells for Boobs, I've known them. That's a group I've networked with from day one. So I've done work for them. 2 or 3 veterans charities. Warrior Wad is one. The Weekly Fight, they're based out of I forget, Vermont or somewhere. They're in the upper northeast, and they help people with PTSD sufferers,
nice.
Which is really important.
Yeah.
But I probably spend the most time with the Adaptive Group, which technically isn't a charity, although Wheelwad is.
Yeah.
They are now anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really spotlighting them, because I'm a real believer that that making sure that people can see, visibility of this community is important, because people just don't know what's available to them unless they can see themselves in others. So like an example is I posted a video of a woman that's part of CrossFit, and she's a champion actually. She's blind. She was doing box jumps. And someone
like unreal. Like unreal.
And someone reached out to me and they said, "Hey, I have a relative who's blind. I didn't even know this existed. Can you connect me with an affiliate?" And that's why I do it, because I think it's important that people can see themselves with their loved ones and others, and understand that this is a resource for them. I don't believe in, I call it inspiration porn. Like, people watch the Adaptive and like, "Oh, you're so inspiring." I'm like, screw that. Like, they just work hard. They don't get any. I'm not giving them any special love because they're missing a limb. Like,
that's a good perspective.
We're all working hard, all of us. They just have to figure out a little different way than we do it. They just want to be treated like everybody else. They don't want to be different. But I think I've always kind of navigated myself to them, because I've kind of always felt like a misfit because of ADHD, and like I've never felt like I fit in because my brain works in a weird way, and I have the same kind of dark sense of humor they do.
Sure.
And there's a wonderful group, but they find a lot of joy in the sport, and I think that's what I love about them. It isn't that, oh, they're missing a limb and they work harder, or they work hard. They find joy in the sport. They find joy in each other. They love each other. Like, when you go to one of these events, no one leaves the floor until everyone is done. Yeah. And the person who won the event is high-fiving the person who came in last like they just won the event. Yeah. and the person who comes in last doesn't feel sorry for themselves. And the people running the event don't take it easy on anyone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and they have a different perspective on life, and you get a chance to talk to them and really get to know them. Like, you start to question your own perspectives.
Yeah.
Like, I met this woman,
Right.
I know my stories are long, but I met this woman who had cerebral palsy, and the workout was running and getting over a box, and because she had cerebral palsy, her limbs don't work like everyone else. And she face planted 4 times in the running, and I mean hard on concrete. Lands on her arms, and when it's over, I go over to her, and she recognized me, and she's like, bluntly, she's fangirling, right? She's like,
Yes.
oh my God, I wanted to meet you. I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah.
She's like, no, I just really wanted to meet you. I'm like, that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are your arms? She's like, they're fine. I'm like, how long is it going to take you to recover? She's like, oh, I'll recover quick. I'm like, no. You face planted
Right.
4 times.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just real blunt with people. I'm like, you face planted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, do they not really hurt? And she's like, John, this is like every day for me.
Yeah.
And she was just so matter of fact. She's just like, no, I fall every day, And it's just a different perspective. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'm over here worried she's going to recover. And she's like, what's going to happen again in an hour? So why are you looking at me like that?
Right.
We need to talk to her because that shit's hard.
That
sounds hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point. Is like when you see this stuff in person and watch them, and you really watch to try to learn.
Yeah.
It changes your perspective on how hard things are for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you should be quitting things, and when maybe you just need to push through.
Yeah.
And I find myself pushing through things I might have quit because I've had a chance to talk to people that have pushed through much harder things.
I love that.
We have just a few more minutes, so before we get into rapid fire questions, Rumble and I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
For being here and sharing your time.
Such
on
good
West End.
perspective. On
Yeah.
things.
It's really interesting, and I think that a lot of people needed to understand, who is behind such a kind of like almost it's like a mask, right? Not everyone knows who you are. A lot of people will, but hopefully they get a different perspective on this.
Yes.
So this is just, we're gonna say a word, and you tell us what the first thing is that you think of. But first, we have 2 very important questions. One, we just need to confirm, do you drink coffee?
I love coffee. Yes,
We just
so
need to
much.
make sure we could be friends with you.
I've had so much coffee this week.
I think we all have.
I've had like 3 hours of sleep a day, so trust me, I've had more coffee than sleep.
Okay, well, I think same.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is like the hard-hitting question that Rumble and I...
Not Rumble and I.
that I need to know, and Devin needs to know.
Yeah, not
and
me.
Rumble could, she doesn't care at all.
Careless.
Toilet paper roll over or under?
Over.
She doesn't care. Devin and I are over.
I don't want to delete any of this now.
Yeah, no, it's over. Always over.
And now here's our rapid fire. We say one word, you tell us what you think.
Oh, these are hard. Okay. Go ahead.
It's not hard at all.
Not hard at all.
Not
You
at
wanna do
all.
The first one?
Festivals.
Fun.
Okay.
Sunglasses at night.
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
I wear reading glasses. I don't wear sunglasses in the day.
International travel.
No.
Oh.
I don't have a passport. I'm getting one though. I'm getting
Second guess that has not had a passport.
It's so interesting to me when people say no.
I've had young girls, and like we weren't going to travel internationally, but now that they're grown, it's on my bucket list.
So it's just a thing of because the girls were younger, and not because you didn't want to. Because our previous guest who said no is literally because he does not want to.
Oh no, I want to.
Okay.
I have a list of places I'm ready to go. I just, I haven't needed a passport, but it'll happen in the next 12 to 18 months.
Great. Maybe that's where you meet your person.
Maybe.
Maybe outside
Single
the
no
country.
more.
Maybe I'll find one and take them with me. You never know.
Yes, we will manifest that for you.
We love that.
Yes.
There you go.
And speaking of manifesting, we're going to close with, do you remember our mantra, Rumble?
No. You're asking me on the spot questions like no.
All right, I'm going to share
Yes.
with you our mantra, and we're going
Because
to...
I say it wrong every time when I'm on the spot.
Correct. Spread the love, which
Devin's
is,
face is like,
we are happy, we are healthy, we are wealthy, we are smoke shows. Devin even knows it.
look at Devin. I know. I don't know what happens to me on the spot.
I'm 2 out of 4.
Wait, what two are you?
What two are you?
I'm not a
Are-
smoke
you're
show.
happy.
No, you're a smoke
happy.
show.
I'm happy. And what was the second?
Healthy.
Healthy.
I'm healthy. There you go. I'm 2 and 4.
Wealthy.
Not
We're
wealthy.
manifesting this.
We're
now.
manifesting.
We're
Oh,
wealthy.
manifesting. Okay.
Yes.
We
and
have,
you are
we
a
have
smoke
a
show.
partner.
No, I'm not a smoke show. But I might have me millions at some point, so then I'll be wealthy. So.
Me millions.
He's a humble smoke show.
There you go.
Humble Smoke Show. On behalf of This Shit's Hard
This shit's hard.
and our community, we
Yes.
just want to say thank you once again for making this a great
And
one.
thank you for bringing us joy and making us laugh, because we need more of that in this world, definitely today.
We do.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Over and out.